Hey, and welcome to Barnes Talks Ball. This is my first episode of a podcast project that I'm doing, of a sports and life podcast. To start off, I just kind of wanted to explain to you what I'm doing for Barnes Talks Ball, what I'm going to be talking about, and what I'm going to be discussing on this podcast. I hope to be a podcast that talks a lot about sports, if you can't tell from the ball. And I'd also like to touch on some life events and life strategies or happenings that's going on in my life, what's going on in pop culture. I enjoy all those things. I like talking about movies, like talking about pop culture, music. So I'm going to be talking about a lot of those things, as well as mostly sports, which I'm guessing is what you're listening to me for, I hope to have some good, only slightly biased takes on here. But, enough about the podcast. Let's talk about me. My name is Colby Barnes. I'm a 19-year-old college student who's currently enrolled at Johnson County Community College. I will be transferring to KU in the fall semester of 2025. Currently, I'm looking for living situations, but I think I have some of that figured out right now. But I kind of wanted to dive into my athletic career, if you would like to call it a career. Played football for 12 years, from third grade up until senior year of high school. I was an offensive lineman. Come from a long lineage of offensive linemen, or linemen in general. My dad was a defensive tackle. My brother was a center on the offensive line. And I was a tackle, center, left guard, right tackle, left tackle. It's a Swiss Army knife in high school. I'd like to consider myself a Swiss Army knife at least. But I played relatively well up until about freshman year, where I was obviously a freshman, and then I was a sophomore on JV, and then sadly I was a junior on JV, the dreaded junior on JV. But I worked, and I had a lot of good athletes in front of me. And senior year, I started at left guard. I was a left guard starting all year. Gave up one sack, sadly, worst team on our schedule. I won't name their name in case somebody from there is listening, but I did give up a sack my senior year. I was the only offensive lineman on the entire team to give up a sack, which was devastating. And when I have an entire friend group of offensive linemen that I'm playing next to, they definitely were not happy with me, and they don't let me forget it up until this day. But, I had fun, and we had fun as brothers and friends on the offensive line, and those guys are my dogs. I love them. We were the nasty boys, is what our coach called us. The offensive linemen were the nasty boys, and we definitely lived up to the name that year. We were a pretty good offensive line altogether, but that's just a little about my football career. I'd like to dive into some of the things I like now. I'm a huge fan of video games, superheroes, TV shows, movies. I love them all. Currently, I'm playing a lot of Marvel Rivals, which is a video game that's a hero shooter using Marvel heroes as the characters you can pick, and pretty big fan of it. I play with some of my buddies almost every night. Try to, at least. But I love it, man. It's really fun. It's competitive. I'm a competitive guy. I lived it competitiveness throughout high school with high school sports, and games like Marvel Rivals really helped me tap into that competitiveness now, not playing sports anymore, because sadly I am not good enough to be a collegiate offensive lineman, nor big enough. I'm a measly 6'1", 200 pounds on a heavy day, so definitely was not big enough to go compete as an offensive lineman at most levels, and most levels I'd want to play at, because my pride would take a shot if I had to go play at a smaller school, which there's nothing wrong with. Just me personally, I'm a big school guy. That's why I'm transferring to KU in the fall. I've always wanted to go to a big college, and I could not imagine going to a small college just to play play a sport, you know. But let's talk about something else I like to do, which is working out. Yeah, work out 7 times a week, most weeks. I know you're supposed to take a rest day, but me, I don't really. I don't really ever take a rest day. I'm pretty into fitness. I love staying in shape, especially like I was an offensive lineman in high school. You know, I was putting on weight on purposely, and after my playing career was done, I lost all of it. I dropped a lot of weight. I dropped 45 pounds my senior year of high school from July when camp started to I'd say about April when I graduated. When I graduated senior year, I was 280 pounds, which compared to the 245 I was day one of school, definitely was a big drop and a big appearance change. I looked like a different person. It looked like I ate myself at the beginning of the beginning of the season. It was definitely a thing. Yeah. I think is a good way to describe it. But now I usually sit around 190, 185, trying to drop a little lower. You know, summer bod and everything. I'm got to get that beach body. It's not really the winter anymore, but with the weather we're having outside in Kansas, where it definitely feels like winter, and summer bodies are built in the winter. If you've never heard that phrase, it's a good one, and you got to live by it. But enough about me. I'm not very great at talking about myself, but I'm sure you guys could understand or you could realize that with me jumping from thing to thing so well. But I'd like to talk about why I'm doing this. Now, I've always loved sports. When I stopped playing sports and wasn't good enough to advance to that higher level, I've been looking for something to dive into sports and stay in that atmosphere because I can't imagine a life without sports, personally. But I think I can do that with this podcast. You know, I love talking sports. Some of my friends are probably listening, and they know I love talking sports. They know I love saying stupid takes, just stupid takes on stupid takes. I've annoyed all of my friends to the point of no ends at this point. I love takes. I love taking in sports content. I love putting out sports content. I love tweeting about sports. I love reading tweets about sports. Love sports. I want to stay in the sports atmosphere with this podcast. I want to talk ball with all of you. And I want to build a community with all of you. I love community. I love brotherhood. Another thing that ties my roots back to football. And when I got away with that, I haven't really had a brotherhood like it after it. So I'd like to build a community here with you all, and hopefully you guys can look back on this. Hopefully somebody's looking back on this in 10 years and saying, oh my God, this podcast has changed so much, because hopefully it's grown to the point where I have fans that weren't here at the beginning, you know. I idolize guys on ESPN, Barstool guys, Pardon My Take, Bussin' with the Boys, all those guys, the Rich Eisen show. I've always wanted to do that for a career. I'd love to be able to talk sports as my job, you know, because it's something I enjoy. And, you know, I've always been told, you know, find something you love and do it for the rest of your life, and you'll never work a day in your life. And, you know, I love this stuff. I really do. I want to do this the right way. I've talked about making a podcast before, but, you know, right now I think it's really the right time. You know, I have a podcasting class right now that I'm technically doing this podcast for, but I've always wanted to do a podcast, especially a sports podcast. But hopefully I can do this justice and give you guys something enjoyable to listen to for the next few weeks. And if it is enjoyable to listen to, hopefully I continue this after my semester's up and after I don't have the resources given to me. I'll have to put a financial investment into this podcast if it's doing well enough and I'm enjoying it, and I think this is the right thing. But I hope you all enjoy this podcast. That's my main thing, and that's why I'm doing it. I want to give you guys a place to listen to me if you like me, if you want to hear my takes or just hear about me or just hear about life in general. I hope you guys can all enjoy this podcast, and maybe, just maybe, it can be something special. That's what I'm trying to build here. But I'll leave you all with a bit of a sports take. I know this wasn't, but I will leave you all with some takes I have on spring training for the Royals. I'm a huge fan of Jack Caglione, as is everybody in Kansas who follows Royals baseball. That kid's going to be special. I think he's up by the All-Star break in July. So, I know, big ask for a guy who was drafted in April. But I think he has a chance to make this team out of spring training if he keeps hitting the way he is. He's currently, I believe, 7 for 9 with a home run and 3 RBI. And he's just smacking the heck out of the ball. It's disgusting the velocity numbers coming off his bat. I couldn't imagine what this kid was hitting last year with a metal bat in college if he's hitting 114 with a wooden bat. It's insane. But I have some other Royals takes. I don't think MJ Melendez makes his team. I know it's popular to hate on MJ Melendez for a part of the Royals community, but right now, he had a great game yesterday, which, as of recording this, was Wednesday, February 26th. He had a great game. I believe he had 3 RBI and 2 hits on three plate appearances, but I don't know. MJ Melendez is just he's a debacle. It's a conundrum, almost. He plays well, but he also doesn't play well. It's insane. And, we asked him to make the switch to left field 2 years ago, and then he made the full switch last year. And he plays well. He's a league average defender in left field. So, he's a good defender, a decent defender. And when he is hitting, he's hitting at an elite level. His bat has pop. But he just, even with the new stands, he can't catch up to a fastball, it feels like. Or it looks like. But, man, I think he can spend some time in Omaha, maybe come back up. But when you have guys like Tyler Gentry and you have guys like Nick Prado, who's making the switch to outfield right now, and you have a Jonathan India or a Michael Massey needing to play left field to get their bat in the order, I just don't see where he makes this team because he doesn't really give you value on the bags. And right now, if you have to play Jonathan India or Michael Massey in left field, he's just a DH because his defense is average, but his bat isn't good enough to have a reason to put him out in the field. But I'll leave you guys with that Royals take. I'm going over my time a little bit here for my class. So, with that, I hope you all have a great day. I hope you enjoyed listening to this. And I will see you all in the next episode of Barnes Talks Ball.